Have you ever wondered what a soul is truly worth? I'm not talking about the payout on an insurance policy or the figure sitting in a bank account. I'm talking about the price of human dignity. Picture this. Your beloved father passed away just last week. The grief is still raw, yet tonight, you're forced to watch the woman he called wife hold up the urn containing his ashes. She shakes it violently, like a cheap toy, and asks the crowd below, "Anyone want this piece of trash for $100? What would you do? Would you storm the stage, screaming in despair? Or would you swallow the humiliation, accepting your place as the penniless outcast with no voice?" That is the question I've asked myself 100 times over the past 6 months. But tonight, I'm not choosing to scream, and I certainly won't choose silence, because the people snickering in that gilded ballroom are missing one crucial fact. They see me. Mia Sterling, the disowned daughter, the destitute librarian in a frayed sweater. What they don't see is the microscopic earpiece hidden beneath my messy hair. What they don't hear is the sound of weapons being racked by the FBI tactical team surrounding the building. And they certainly don't know that. I didn't come here to mourn my father. I came here to buy back his honor, to the tune of $50 million. Welcome to the Arthur Sterling Estate Auction. And welcome to New York's greatest act of revenge. I stepped inside. The blast of air conditioning hit my face, but it was nothing compared to the chill in the stares of the people here. Tonight, the Sotheby's auction hall was as resplendent as a palace. Crystal chandeliers dripped from the ceiling like frozen tears, lining the walls were the oil paintings my father had spent a lifetime collecting. And there, center stage, on the raised platform, was her, Vanessa. She stood there, champagne flute in hand, laughing with a real estate tycoon. She wore a plunging black silk gown that showcased the diamond necklace my father had given her for their 10th anniversary. It has been exactly 7 days since my father died. By all rights, a widow should be wearing a veil of mourning, but Vanessa? She was wearing the smile of someone who had just hit the jackpot. "Oh, Mr. Thompson, you flatter me." Yes, poor Arthur, he went so peacefully. But you know, life must go on. The Hamptons estate is simply too vast for a fragile woman like myself. I think a powerful man like you would know how to make much better use of it. I pressed myself against a marble pillar in the corner. I pulled my beanie low, trying to disappear inside my oversized, threadbare coat. A waiter breezed past, his tray nearly clipping me. He turned, his eyes darting down to my muddy canvas sneakers, and grimaced. "Hey you, this area is for VIPs. The exit for the cleaning crew is back through the kitchen. Don't block the way." I didn't answer. I just ducked my head, mumbling a pathetic apology. That was my role tonight. Mia Sterling, the failure, the disgrace. But beneath the cheap fabric of my coat, my fingers grazed the trigger button on my belt. Alpha, status report. Target acquired. Lawyer Stone is at your 3 o'clock, clutching a black briefcase. He looks twitchy. Bug number 4 is live. Mia, hold the line. We need her to sell the final item to seal the money laundering charge. I took a deep breath. The cloying scent of Vanessa's Chanel No. 5 drifted all the way to my corner. The auction began. Lot number 1, a 1952 limited edition Patek Philippe. Mr. Arthur's favorite timepiece. Starting bid, $50,000. That was the watch Dad promised me for my wedding day. "Time is the most precious thing we have, Mia," he used to say. "Don't waste it on those who don't deserve it." Now Vanessa was selling my father's time to some stranger, an oil tycoon. Sold. $200,000. Vanessa clapped in delight. She turned to whisper to her lawyer, but my earpiece caught every syllable, crystal clear. "Marvelous. That covers the Monaco trip next week. Stone, liquidate everything. The books, those dusty old paintings too. I want to see cash before midnight." Piece by piece, the antique library sold. The jazz vinyl collection sold. Even the worn leather armchair where Dad read the Sunday paper, she let it go for $500. She was erasing his existence, scrubbing the world clean of Arthur Sterling. And then, her gaze swept the room and locked onto me. The smile vanished. In its place, a contemptuous sneer. She raised the microphone, her voice booming across the hall, ensuring not a soul missed it. "Oh, look what the cat dragged in. Mia, is that you?" Heads turned. A spotlight swung around, hitting me full in the face, blindingly bright. I squinted, playing the part of the frightened, wounded animal perfectly. "Everyone, meet Mia, my husband's estranged daughter. Poor thing. Arthur cut her out of the will because, well, bad habits are hard to break." "What are you doing here, Mia? Coming to beg for some of your father's old clothes to pawn off?" I clenched my fists inside my pockets, nails digging into my palms until I drew blood. "Hold it together, Mia. Hold it together." I raised my head, forcing a tremor into my voice. I just wanted a keepsake. Just one thing. Anything you don't need? Something I don't need?" She scanned the stage, then her eyes lit up with a cruel glint. "Actually, there is. Something I was planning to toss out anyway. It's ruining the aesthetic of my stage." She signaled to a staff member. A man brought out a tray draped in black velvet. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Vanessa stepped forward and yanked the cloth away. My heart stopped. It was a simple blue ceramic vase, an urn. Dad had made me promise, when I go, don't bury me in the cold ground. Cremate me and scatter my ashes at sea, right where your mother and I first met. He never made it to the ocean. He was trapped in that cheap ceramic jar, stuck here among these vultures. Ladies and gentlemen, the final lot, Arthur's ashes. Honestly, this urn is painfully ugly. Arthur insisted on resting in this cheap piece of junk. It clashes horribly with my brand new Italian leather sofa. My blood ran hot beneath my skin. Through my earpiece, the metallic click-clack of weapons being racked echoed. "Mia, stand down," my boss warned. "Wait for the signal." Come on, who wants to help a poor widow declutter? Buy this urn, you can dump contents down the toilet perhaps, and use the vase for flowers, or maybe a paperweight. A corpulent man in the front row, his face flushed with wine, raised a hand and guffawed. $100. I'll put it in the kennel. My German Shepherd needs a new food bowl." "Fantastic. We have $100 for the tycoon Arthur Sterling. Do I hear 150? 150 for a handful of dust? No one? Very well, 100 going once." Enough. The charade was over. The final thread of my sanity snapped the moment I saw her raise that gavel high, ready to bring it down on the podium of fate. She thought she was auctioning off garbage. She didn't realize she had just sold away her last ticket to freedom. I raised a hand to my ear and tapped twice, the signal to strike. "Alpha, go." I ripped off my glasses and hurled them onto the floor. Crash! The sound of shattering glass sliced through the crowd's laughter. I stepped out of the shadows, yanked off the beanie, and let my long hair cascade down my back. I was no longer the cast-off daughter. In this moment, I was retribution. "Stop." The entire room whipped around. Vanessa froze, the gavel hovering in midair. I marched straight toward the stage, my gaze burning a hole through her dark soul. "I'm not bidding $100, Vanessa." I pulled a gold card from my vest pocket. "I bid $50 million, and the show has officially begun." $50 million. The number hung in the air like an invisible blade. It sliced through the laughter. It silenced even the pretentious jazz. Silence. A deathly silence. I could hear Vanessa's ragged breathing through the microphone. She stared at me, eyes wide, not with fear but with amusement. Yes, she was trying not to laugh. 50 million? Did you just say 50 million, Mia? Oh my God, the girl has finally lost her mind. What do you plan to pay with? Monopoly money? Or the peanuts you've scraped together from a lifetime on a librarian's salary? Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Skeptical eyes shifted back to me. They looked at the suit I was wearing, at the men in black standing behind me, and confusion began to set in. I took another step toward the podium. My heels clicked against the floor. Steady, authoritative. "Do you think I'm joking, Vanessa? Do you really think that for the past 10 years, I left home just to stack books in a library? The librarian Mia Sterling, you know indeed, doesn't have $500 in her savings account. She drives a beat-up car, lives in a leaky rental, and survives on instant noodles. I paused, letting the words sink into the minds of everyone in the room. But there's one thing you overlooked, Vanessa. You never actually bothered to check what I've been doing for the 10 years since you kicked me out. You were so busy spending my father's money that you didn't realize the name Mia Sterling hasn't existed in the Brooklyn Public Library's HR records for 5 years. I pulled a leather badge holder from my breast pocket, flipped it open, and held it up to her face. Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am Mia Sterling. But my official title isn't librarian. I am a senior forensic accountant for the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the IRS, Financial Crimes Task Force. A collective gasp swept through the hall. I watched Vanessa's face turn from pale white to a sickly shade of gray. Did you catch that? I continued, my voice ice cold. My profession is hunting down money launderers, tax evaders, and greedy individuals who think they can outsmart the law with ghost accounts in the Caymans. And do you know what, Vanessa? For the past 6 months, the most interesting file on my desk has been you. But to arrive at this moment, to stand here and witness the sheer terror in her eyes, I paid a price far too steep. A cost that no amount of money can ever redeem. I paid with isolation, with misunderstanding. And the most agonizing part, I paid with my father's life. Everyone here, and you, Vanessa, bought into the narrative you've spun for years, that I was the spoiled brat, the runaway, that the great Arthur Sterling was so disappointed he disowned me. You lied so convincingly that you even started to believe it yourself. But the truth always lurks in the shadows, waiting for its moment to step into the light. Let me tell you the real story. It began on a stormy night, exactly 6 months ago. That night, rain was pouring down on New York. I was sitting in my cramped apartment, reviewing a money laundering case file, when my phone buzzed. An unknown number. An encrypted message containing just 3 words. Save me. Please. My heart nearly stopped. It had been 3 years since I last spoke to my father. Ever since Vanessa changed the locks on the mansion, blocked my number, and told security to release the hounds if I ever loitered near the gate. She had built a fortress of steel around him, isolating him from the outside world. I rushed to my car, driving like a maniac through the blinding rain. I knew a secret way in. An old tunnel leading from the garden shed to the study, where Dad and I used to play hide-and-seek. Vanessa might have changed the front door locks, but she never knew that passage existed. When I emerged from the wine cellar and crept into his bedroom, the sight before me nearly brought me to my knees. The room reeked of antiseptic and the stench of death. My father, the man once known as the Titan of Wall Street, the man with broad shoulders and a voice that could thunder across a room, now lay swallowed up by heavy blankets. He was emaciated, nothing but skin and bone, his face an ashen gray. The rhythmic, soulless beeping of the heart monitor filled the silence. I rushed to the bedside, grasping his cold skeletal hand. "Dad," I sobbed, tears spilling over. "Dad, it's me. It's Mia." He slowly opened his eyes. Those eyes, once so sharp, were now cloudy and exhausted. But seeing me, a spark of recognition flashed. He tried to whisper, his voice as weak as rustling dry leaves. "Mia, my daughter, you came." "Why are you like this?" I asked, stroking his gaunt face. "Vanessa told the press you were resting in a Swiss retreat. She said you were healthy. Why hasn't anyone taken you to a hospital?" My father forced a smile, a twisted, painful expression. He signaled for me to lean closer. "A hospital can't save me, Mia," he whispered, "because this isn't a sickness." I froze. "What do you mean?" "It's arsenic, Vanessa. Every morning, she makes the tea herself. Special herbal tea, she calls it. Says it's good for the heart. But I know. After every cup, my stomach burns like fire. My limbs go numb. My hair falls out in clumps. Rage erupted within me like a dormant volcano coming to life. I shot to my feet. I'll kill her. I'm calling the police right now. We'll expose her. But Dad's frail hand suddenly clamped onto my wrist. The unexpected strength made me freeze. No. You can't, Mia. Listen to me. You must not do that. Why? I screamed in a strangled whisper. She is murdering you. We have to stop her. He shook his head violently, gasping for air. Who do you think the police will believe? A daughter disowned for a decade, or the devoted wife, the renowned philanthropist, Vanessa Sterling? She's prepared for this. She has a private doctor signing falsified health records. She has lawyers covering every legal loophole. If you call the cops now, she'll destroy the evidence. She'll claim I'm senile and that you're just an ungrateful child coming back for extortion. So what do we do? Just let you lie here and wait for death? I choked out a sob. Dad looked deep into my eyes. In that moment, the sick old man vanished. I saw the father of my childhood again, the former military intelligence officer with a razor-sharp strategic mind. Mia, he said, his voice suddenly terrifyingly lucid. I know what you do. I've been watching you. You work for the FBI, don't you? I nodded, stunned that he knew my secret. Good. Then think like an agent. To catch a predator, you can't just chase it. You have to set a trap, and you have to use bait. Bait? Yes, me. I am the bait. A shiver ran down my spine. What are you talking about? My body is already ruined, Mia. The arsenic has seeped into my vital organs. The doctors say I have a few months at best, whether I stop the poison or not. I accept death, but I do not accept her using our family's fortune to live in luxury on the back of a crime. He pulled me closer, whispering the most insane and painful plan I had ever heard. Let me keep drinking her tea. Let her believe she has won. Let her watch me weaken and die. Her overconfidence will be her death sentence. But what do I do? I asked, tears streaming down my face. You must become a ghost. Keep playing the role of the destitute daughter. Let her humiliate you. Let her trample on you. The more she despises you, the safer you are. And you must help me prepare one thing. A black box. To record this crime. That night, in the dark room lit only by the rhythmic glow of the heart monitor, my father and I made a pact with the Grim Reaper. I secretly implanted a microscopic chip into his pacemaker. It was programmed to record toxin levels in his blood in real time. I helped him liquidate his assets into cryptocurrency and hid them in a cold wallet. And the most agonizing part? I had to turn my back and walk away, leaving him alone in that cold house, continuing to sip the poisoned tea from the hands of the woman he once called his wife. For the past 6 months, I received data from that chip every single day. Every morning, watching the arsenic graph spike felt like rubbing salt into an open wound. I wanted to rush there, to stop it all. But Dad's words echoed in my ears. Patience, Mia. Patience is a weapon. Wait until she sells the urn. That is when you spring the trap. And now, Vanessa, that moment has arrived. You think you are selling an inanimate object? No. You are auctioning off the very evidence of your crime. You thought you wiped the slate clean by cremating him? You were wrong. Fire may consume flesh, but fire cannot destroy the truth recorded on the heat-resistant silicon chip I embedded in his chest cavity. I looked straight into Vanessa's eyes, watching fear begin to crack her mask of heavy makeup. Mrs. Vanessa, I announced, my voice booming for the whole room to hear. Do you want to know why I bid $50 million for that urn? It's not out of sentimental father-daughter love. It's because the private key to unlock Arthur Sterling's $100 million fortune is sitting right there, hidden amongst the ashes you just tried to sell off for $100. If the auction night was the finale, then my father's funeral was the prologue. And believe me, it was a production Vanessa staged more elaborately than any Broadway show. Rewind exactly 1 week. That day, the New York sky was the color of lead. The rain poured down, bone-chilling. But the weather's chill was nothing compared to the frost in people's hearts. The funeral of Arthur Sterling was held at Greenwood Cemetery, the resting place for the city's most prestigious families. From a distance, I saw the sleek black limousines snaking in a line a mile long. Black umbrellas blossomed like a forest of poisonous mushrooms. The elite, the business partners, the sycophants, they were all there. They didn't come to bid farewell to my father. They came to see who would inherit the Sterling Empire. I parked my beat-up Honda Civic in a muddy lot outside the main gate. I sat behind the fogged-up windshield, clutching a single white rose I'd bought at a roadside stand. Dad loved white roses. He said they stood for honesty. Today I arrived as Mia, the destitute, disowned daughter. I wore a faded black coat and shoes that were falling apart. I wore no makeup, exposing dark circles and a gaunt, hollow face. I had to look pathetic. That was the mission parameter. I stepped out of the car. The rain whipped against my face, stinging. I walked toward the cemetery gate, where 2 hulking security guards blocked the path, guest lists in hand. "Please let me in. I'm his daughter. I'm Mia Sterling." One guard looked me up and down with a sneer. He checked the list, then smirked. "Sorry, sweetie. No Mia on the VIP list." Mrs. Vanessa gave strict orders. No trespassing, especially for people who look like this. He jerked his chin toward my soaked clothes. I was about to beg when a familiar voice cut through the air, sharp as metal scratching against glass. "What is all this commotion? I'm in the middle of a CNN interview. You're ruining my frame." I looked up. Vanessa was standing there, under a massive umbrella held by her chauffeur. She was beautiful. I had to admit, she was beautiful, but it was the beauty of a carnivorous flower. She wore a black Valentino lace dress and oversized sunglasses that covered half her face, but I could still see her bright red lips curling in disgust. Beside her was her personal lawyer, Robert Stone. He clutched a crocodile skin briefcase, his face slippery and his eyes shifty like a weasel. "Vanessa, please. I just want to see Dad one last time. I'll leave right after, I promise." One last look. Oh, poor Mia. What do you think this is? A charity ward? Arthur is dead. He doesn't want to see you. If he did, he wouldn't have struck you from the will and left you to live like a sewer rat for the past 10 years. She stepped closer, her perfume overpowering the scent of the rain. She leaned down, whispering just loud enough for me and the lawyer to hear, her voice dripping with pure venom. "Did you come here to beg for money? Or are you playing the filial daughter for the paparazzi? Forget it, darling. Look at yourself. You're polluting the solemn air here. Arthur belonged to me. His fortune belongs to me. And you're just a mistake from the past he wanted to forget." Rage boiled in my chest. I wanted to rip those sunglasses off her face. I wanted to scream, "I know you killed him. I know you poisoned him with arsenic tea every morning." But I held it back. Patience, Mia. Patience is a weapon. I bowed my head, letting tears, perfectly acted tears, roll down my cheeks. I held out the white rose to her. "I don't need money, I swear. I just want to place this flower on his coffin. Please. Just one flower." Vanessa looked at the fragile white rose in my hand. She reached out and took it. For a second, I thought she had a shred of humanity left. But no, she dropped the flower onto the muddy ground. Then with her sharp stiletto heel, she ground it into the earth. The white petals were pulverized, blending into the black mud. "Your flower is as cheap as you are. Stone, security. Get her out of here immediately. If she loiters, call the cops and have her arrested for harassment." 2 guards lunged forward, grabbing my arms and dragging me backward. I struggled. I screamed. That was when I executed the most critical step of the plan. In the struggle, I deliberately threw myself toward Robert Stone. He was standing right next to Vanessa, still clutching that briefcase. I crashed into him. He stumbled, instinctively reaching out to steady me, cursing under his breath. "Hey, watch it! Get away from me! My $3,000 suit!" In that chaotic moment, as my shoulder hit his chest, as his hands pushed me away, my nimble fingers, trained by the FBI's top pickpocket specialists, slid across his breast pocket. A microbug, the size of a grain of rice, encased in black to match his suit, slipped silently inside. I fell face first into a puddle, mud splattered across my face. Vanessa's mocking laughter rang out behind me. "Look at her, Stone, like a mange-ridden dog kicked to the curb. Let's go. We have the senator to greet." I lay there, letting the rain wash over me. I watched Vanessa and Stone disappear behind the cold iron gates. I saw Stone brushing off his lapel, straightening his tie, completely unaware he was carrying a snitch that would send both him and his client to prison. I scrambled up. I stopped crying. I walked back to my beat-up car, started the engine, and drove away. But I didn't go home. I drove to a secluded alley 2 blocks away from the cemetery. A black, unmarked van was waiting there. I opened the back doors and climbed in. The interior was a stark contrast to the shabby exterior. Modern computer rigs glowed, screens displaying audio wave patterns fluctuating in real time. My partner, Agent Jake, sat there, headphones on, typing furiously. He turned to me, handing over a dry towel. "Great acting, Mia. You almost had me convinced you were actually heartbroken. Is the bug in position?" Jake nodded in admiration. I wiped the mud from my face, tossed the soaked coat aside, and put on a headset. "It's in. How's the audio?" I replied, my voice cold and sharp. "Crystal clear. Stone and the Black Widow just got into the limo. Listen to this." I closed my eyes, focusing on the sound. Vanessa's voice came through the headphones, stripped of the fake grief, filled now with calculation and malice. "God, finally this damn charade is over. Stone, give me a tissue. The fake tears ruined my mascara. And hey, old man Arthur died right on time. Another week and the new tax laws would have hit the trust fund. We got lucky. Who cares? I own the press. They only print what I want. The money is what matters. Stone, give me the good news. When can I sell the junk in the house? I've contacted Sotheby's. Next week, right after the cremation is finalized. We'll sell everything. The art, the watches, the vintage cars. Estimated total around $40 million in cash. Plus the $60 million in secret accounts Arthur didn't transfer in time. You'll have a clean $100 million. $100 million. Music to my ears. Wire it to my Swiss account immediately. I'm done with U.S. laws. I'm moving to Monaco. Oh, and one more thing. Arthur's body." My heart tightened. I held my breath. "Cremate him immediately. Tonight. I don't want anyone, especially that brat Mia, to demand an autopsy. If they find traces of arsenic in his hair, we both fry on the electric chair. Don't worry. The private crematorium has been paid off. 2,000 degrees Celsius will turn all evidence into dust within 2 hours. No one will find a thing. Good. And the ashes after burning? Do whatever. Flush them down the drain. Actually, there's a small snag. The old will, the one we didn't destroy in time, has a clause. Ashes must be kept in the commemorative blue ceramic urn. If you throw it away before the inheritance is finalized, Mia could sue for violation of the final wishes. She could freeze the assets. That hideous cheap pot? Damn it. Fine. Keep the urn. I'll take it to the auction. I'll sell it. Public auction. Imagine the look on Mia's face when she sees her daddy auctioned off like a discount item. That will be my final punishment for the Sterling family." Her laughter echoed in my headphones, seeping into my brain cells. I opened my eyes. Jake was looking at me, his face pale with anger. "Do we have enough?" "That's a confession about the arsenic. We can arrest her right now," Jake asked. I shook my head, taking off the headset. I stared at the computer screen where my father's heart rate monitor, old data, was flatlining. "Not enough," I said, my voice so cold it scared even me. A lawyer could argue the tape is a joke or emotional venting. We need physical evidence. We need that urn. She thinks selling the urn is to humiliate me? No, that greed and cruelty will be her undoing because she doesn't know that. The most important evidence isn't in my father's body. It's in the urn she hates. I turned to Jake. "Get the money ready. Next week we're going shopping, and the item we're buying has a price tag of $50 million. $50 million. That number hit the room like a grenade tossed into the middle of a banquet. Its power lay not in the explosion, but in the deathly silence that followed. Vanessa stood on the podium, the hand clutching the gavel, trembling violently. She looked at me, then down at my black suit, then behind me, where 4 FBI agents stood with arms crossed, looming like walls of steel. 50 million? Oh my God, did you all hear that? The girl is insane. Is she high? Mia, are you dreaming? Where are you getting this money? Do you even have a library card in your wallet, or were you planning to pay with good girl coupons? Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Suspicious eyes turned back to me. They saw a young nobody daring to challenge a billionaire widow. Lawyer Stone, standing beside Vanessa, straightened his tie and took a step forward, his tone patronizing. "Miss Mia, this is a legal auction. not a child's playground. If you cannot prove your financial capability immediately, I will have security remove you for disturbing the peace." I didn't answer him. I walked slowly up the steps leading to the stage. My heels struck the oak floor. Click, click, click. Each step was a nail being driven into their coffins. I stood face to face with Vanessa. She took a step back, clutching the urn to her chest as if it were her last shield. "You want to see money, Vanessa? Fine." I didn't bring cash. I brought my father's real legacy. I reached into my inner pocket and pulled out a small metal object that glinted under the spotlight. Not a check, not a black card. It was a cold wallet USB, military-grade encryption for cryptocurrency storage. I held the USB high for the entire room to see. In here is $100 million. Not money from stocks or real estate that you vultures are fighting over. This is the money my father quietly liquidated from offshore accounts over the past 6 months, once he realized his wife was trying to kill him. He didn't trust banks, he didn't trust lawyers, he only trusted algorithms. Liar. That's just a piece of junk USB. Who do you think you're fooling? Fooling? You can check it right now. I brushed past her, heading toward the MC's console. I plugged the USB into the connection port for the massive LED screen behind the stage, the one that had been displaying luxury items all night. Beep. The screen went black. Then, a line of green code raced down the display. A number appeared, massive, so clear that even the nearsighted people in the back row could see it. Balance, $100,000 USDT. Vanessa went dead silent. She stared at that number like she was seeing a ghost. It was the money she craved, the money she had killed for. And now it was in my hands. I have enough money to buy this entire auction house, Vanessa. But as I said, I didn't come here to buy things. I came to buy back the evidence. I spun around, staring at the ceramic urn in her hands. "Give me the urn." "No, this is my property. I am the legal heir. You have no right. You said this urn was trash, didn't you? You wanted to sell it for $100? I'm paying $50 million. Hand it over." I lunged forward. Vanessa screamed, trying to run, but she tripped over her long evening gown. Thud. She sprawled onto the stage floor. The urn slipped from her grasp, flying into the air. The moment seemed to stretch into eternity. I watched the urn spinning in the air, the old blue ceramic vase, the vessel holding the ashes of the father I loved most. I could have dived to catch it. But no. Dad had said, "You have to break it, Mia. The truth is not in the ashes. The truth lies in the breaking." Smash! The urn hit the marble floor. It shattered into 1,000 pieces. A cloud of gray dust billowed up. My father's ashes scattered everywhere, coating Vanessa's designer shoes, dusting the luxurious red carpet. The crowd screamed in horror. Vanessa scrambled up, her face smeared with ash, looking like a specter. "Look closely, Vanessa." I pointed to the pile of debris on the floor. Amidst the shards and gray ash, something was blinking with a faint red light. It wasn't bone. It wasn't grit. It was an electronic chip encased in a heat-resistant, impact-proof titanium shell. I bent down and picked up the chip. It was still warm. I gently blew off the layer of ash covering it, then held it up high. "You thought a 2,000-degree cremation fire could wipe away all traces? You were wrong. This is a data chip from my father's next-generation pacemaker, a biomonitor. Astronaut grade. Designed to withstand the pressure and heat of a rocket explosion. And more importantly, it records everything in the wearer's blood. Every second. Every minute." I turned back to the console, pulled out the money USB, and plugged this chip into a specialized reader I had prepared. "Look at the screen, ladies and gentlemen. Don't look at the money anymore. Look at the crime." The giant screen flickered, then switched to a medical chart interface. Red and green waves raced across the display. I typed a command. "Retrieve toxin data, last 6 months." A bar chart appeared. Towering red columns repeating in a cycle. "Do you see these red columns? This is the concentration of arsenic in my father's blood. Look at the timestamps. 8 a.m. Spike. 8 p.m. Spike. Regular as clockwork, for 180 days straight." I turned to Vanessa. She was trembling, backing away toward the wings, her eyes glued to the screen as if hypnotized. "Vanessa, what happens at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m.? "Ah, that's right. That's tea time. You always made the tea for my father yourself, didn't you? You forbade the nurses from touching it. You called it your labor of love." I zoomed in on the final date on the chart, The red column hit the ceiling 10 times higher than normal, and this, October 12th. The day my father died. Arsenic levels 10 times the lethal dose. You couldn't wait anymore, could you? You were scared of the new tax law, so you poured the whole bottle into his final cup. The room erupted. Whispers turned into shouts of outrage. Phones were raised, filming the sight of Vanessa cowering. Lawyer Stone's face was drained of blood. He tried to sneak toward the back exit. But I was faster. I hit one final key. The recording from the bug I planted on Stone's jacket at the funeral blasted over the speakers. Cremate him immediately. Tonight. I don't want anyone to demand an autopsy. If they find traces of arsenic, we both fry on the electric chair. That was the final nail in the coffin. Vanessa collapsed to the floor, hands over her head, letting out a blood-curdling scream. "Turn it off! Turn it off! You wretch!" I pulled out my badge, raising it high. "Alpha Team, move in." The doors burst open. 4 FBI agents stormed the stage. They were no longer bodyguards. They handcuffed Vanessa, pinning her face down on the floor, right beside the pile of my father's ashes she had just trampled on. Lawyer Stone was tackled by 2 other agents at the emergency exit. I stood there, looking down at Vanessa. She looked up at me, tears and mascara streaming down her face, her eyes filled with hatred and despair. You set me up. You and that damn old man." I bent down, picked up a shard of the broken urn, and placed it gently into her cuffed palm. "No, Vanessa, we didn't set a trap. We just handed you a rope. And your own greed tied it into a noose." The storm had passed. Everything ended faster than I expected. The chilling click of handcuffs, Vanessa's screams and curses fading behind the armored door of the police van, the flashing camera strobes finally ceasing. The elite crowd, the very people who had mocked me moments ago, now averted their gaze, scrambling out of the auction hall like rats fleeing a sinking ship. Now, the vast room was left in silence, a deafening silence. I stood alone on the empty stage. The spotlight still shone down, but there was no one left to perform for. The play was over. I knelt on the cold stone floor. Surrounding me were the shards of the blue ceramic urn. Sharp fragments lay mixed in the pile of ashen gray dust. My father's ashes. I reached out, trembling, gathering every handful of ash, every broken shard, into the silk scarf I had just unwound from my neck. The warmth of the ashes still lingered on my fingertips. It wasn't frightening. It was familiar. Like the warmth of my father's hand from years ago, whenever he patted my head and said, "Don't be afraid, Daddy's here." I won, didn't I? Vanessa would be in prison for life. The $100 million fortune was mine. Those who looked down on me had been forced to bow their heads. But why? Why were tears still falling? Why did this victory taste so salty? I sat down on the floor, leaning back against the wooden podium. I pulled the USB drive from my pocket. There was one final file I hadn't opened yet. It wasn't a crypto key file. It was a video file titled, "To Mia, Daddy's Little Accountant." I opened my laptop and plugged in the USB. My finger hovered over the enter key for a long time. I was afraid. Afraid to see him one last time. Afraid to hear his voice, knowing he was dying. But I had to listen. The screen lit up. My father appeared. He was sitting in his familiar study, on that worn leather armchair Vanessa had sold for $500. He was wearing the gray sweater I had knitted for him 5 years ago, even though it was a bit tight. His face was gaunt, his skin pale, but his eyes, those eyes still shone with a steadfast, loving light. "Hello, daughter. If you are watching this video, it means our plan succeeded. It means you were brave enough to stand up, and that witch got what she deserved. Mia, I am sorry. I'm sorry for pushing you away in the last years of my life. I know how hurt you were when security stopped you at the gate. I know how many nights you cried thinking I hated you. But you must understand, it was the only way to protect you. Vanessa, she is a viper. If she knew we were in contact, she wouldn't hesitate to harm you before I could gather enough evidence. I would rather let you hate me for a while than let you be in danger." I covered my mouth with my hand, trying to stifle a sob. "Dad, I never hated you. Not for a single second. You know, people often call me an investment genius, a tycoon, but the greatest achievement of my life isn't that skyscraper in Manhattan, nor that medical patent. My greatest achievement is you. I remember when you were 10, you found an error in your mother's expense ledger, just by glancing at some supermarket receipts. I knew then that this girl wasn't born to be a princess. She was born to be a guardian of justice. And I was right. Look at you, a federal agent. A girl standing tall on her own in this harsh city without a dime from her family. Mia, in this USB is $100 million. It's a lot of money, a vast sum. It can buy you mansions, supercars, trips around the world, the things Vanessa craved. But I beg you, don't become her. Don't let money enslave you. I didn't leave this money for you to live in luxury. I left it so you could be free. Free to do the right thing without bowing to anyone. You've seen how money corrupts people. It turned Vanessa into a murderer. It turned the people at the auction today into heartless vultures. Use this money to wipe away the tears of others, Mia. There are so many elderly people abandoned by their children in shabby nursing homes. There are so many children estranged from their parents like you. They have no voice. They have no one to defend them. Be their voice. Be their shield. I'm tired now, Mia. I'm going to see your mother soon. Don't be sad for me. I go in peace, knowing my daughter has grown up. That ceramic urn, if it's broken, that's okay. Scatter my ashes at sea as promised. I love you, Mia. Always and forever. The screen went black. I sat there hugging the laptop, weeping like a child. The tears no longer tasted salty. They were warm. They washed away the resentment, the grievances of the past 10 years. Dad didn't abandon me. He turned his silence into a shield, protecting me until his very last breath. 1 year has passed since that fateful night. Vanessa Sterling was sentenced to life without parole in state prison. Her accomplices, including Lawyer Stone and the private doctor, all received fitting sentences. The Black Widow selling ashes case became a hot topic in headlines for months. But I don't care about any of that anymore. I filed for indefinite leave from the FBI. I took off the stiff black suit, put away the gun and the badge. I went back to being Mia. But a completely new Mia. Today is the grand opening of a small building on the outskirts of New York. Not a flashy skyscraper. It's a cozy wooden house surrounded by a garden of white roses. On the wooden sign at the gate, I carved the words myself. The Arthur and Mia Foundation, a home for the forgotten. I used that $100 million exactly as Dad asked. I hired the best lawyers, not to fight over assets for the rich, but to provide pro bono defense for the elderly who've been scammed, women who've been abused, and children stripped of their inheritance. I turned this house into a sanctuary, where the lonely can find the warmth of a family. I am sitting in my office. On the desk, in the place of honor, there are no certificates or gold trophies. There is the blue ceramic urn. I spent months meticulously piecing every shard back together. I used the Japanese technique of kintsugi, using pure gold to mend the cracks. Now the urn looks even more beautiful than before. Veins of gold run along its body, shimmering in the sunlight. It reminds me of one thing. Broken things are not trash. If we mend them with love and care, they become infinitely more precious. I look out the window. In the garden, an old man is reading to a group of children. Laughter rings out, crisp and clear. The wind blows, making the white roses dance. I smile, whispering to the ceramic urn, "See, Dad, we aren't lonely anymore." People often say the sweetest revenge is living well, but to me, the greatest revenge is using my power to ensure that no one has to suffer the pain I once endured, and that is the true legacy of the Sterling name.